knows you can dish it, you can take it. Just remember that you've been told it's a different world. It's a different world. Hey, then where you come from? Ooh, then where you come from?
Good evening and welcome once again to We Rise podcast. I'm your host, T. Willard Fair, and we're going to have some fun this evening. I have one of my favorite persons here with me, Representative James Bush, and we're going to talk about some politics from an old colored perspective. He's up in Tallahassee. He knows all of the new things that are going on, but I'm just going to go back and talk about some old time stuff that happened before he got to be a state representative. I've been doing this stuff for a long time, and I came here in 1964 when the Black community was just getting activated in the political arena. White people were in charge, and all of the elected offices locally and statewide, of course, were occupied by white people. Black people were not involved for the obvious reasons. So when we look at the history of our involvement in the political process, we have to start from whence we have come and how we got to be where we are today. When I got here in 1963, the biggest political thing was Operation Big Boat, but we're going to talk about that. Representative Bush,
Yes.
welcome. Good to see you. How you been?
Oh man, it's been marvelous, and it's an honor for me to be sitting next to a legend. And
Well, I don't know about all of that now.
Oh yes, sir.
I can remember when you was a little boy.
Yes.
I can remember when I first came to town that you were just a little boy running around doing your thing, and we got concerned about getting involved in the political process.
Yes, sir.
I can remember that we decided as an agency that the first thing was to establish our presence.
That's right.
So we created this leadership academy.
I was in it.
You was in it.
Yes,
One
sir.
of my first graduates from my leadership academy.
Yes, sir.
You're going from segregation to integration. You need to understand how that thing operates.
Yes,
And
sir.
once you get that understanding, once you get there, then you can participate. So you were part of the initial class
Yes, sir.
of folks who came through the leadership academy. Folks don't know it, but we integrated every board of directors in this town out of our leadership academy. Black folks had not had the opportunity to serve on anything except the NAACP and the Urban League and then Congress of Racial Equality. After that, it was all over. So now we're talking about integration. Somebody had to teach you the Robert's Rules of Order.
That's right.
Someone had to teach you how to make a motion, how to second a motion.
That's right.
Someone had to teach you how to take minutes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in our leadership academy, we did that. And we integrated every institution in this town that was not Black in our leadership academy.
Yes,
And
sir.
then we identify you young folks
That's right.
to run for office. And the first Black person to run for office, who was that?
The first Black.
The first Black elected official from Dade County who happens to be the color of my skin. Who was that?
Well, if I'm not incorrect, June A. Kershaw, Athlete Range.
The first one was M. Athlete Range.
Miss Range. I thought that was
Mrs. Range was the
Miss Range.
first one. How did that happen? Segregation, white folks in charge. How did we get Mrs. Range elected?
Well, I'm quite sure that was a strategy meeting.
That was a strategy meeting.
And
That is correct.
y'all brought the players in.
That is correct. Strategy meeting and the players. What do you mean by players?
If I'm correct, I believe you had in that meeting the late Congresswoman Carrie P. Meeks,
She wasn't there.
She wasn't there.
She wasn't there. She wasn't big enough to be in this meeting.
Uh,
In that meeting was Reverend Bedford Johnson,
okay,
because it all happened at the ministerial layman's
That's
breakfast.
that's right on Saturday.
The ministers decided that they were going to integrate the quote unquote government of the city of Miami.
That's right.
They decided that they were going to do that. So the church, the black ministers, instead of pimping and posturing as they do today, did something very meaningful on behalf of the community. They decided that they could use their influence to integrate the electoral process in this community. So the ministerial layman's breakfast held every Saturday at St. John's Missionary Baptist Church. Okay. They met, and after we adjourned, we went to Bedford Johnson's study, and we mapped out a strategy that we were going to execute to integrate, quote unquote, the city of Miami. Now, the first thing we decided that we needed somebody that everybody loved. Because you know how you color people are. Well, I don't like that Negro. You know he don't belong to my fraternity. Oh, you think he cute.
Oh, I know.
You know, so you've been through that.
Oh, yes, sir.
He's so. He an alpha, he an omega, all that kind of crazy stuff. So they knew that they needed to have somebody that everybody loved. And that person was Mrs. Range. Everybody loved Miss Range. She bared everybody. Everybody knew her. There was no skeletons in her closet. And they selected her. And then they decided that nobody else would run.
That's right. Which is important.
It's very important.
Very important.
This ain't about your ego. This is about our community.
Thank you.
So we're going to make this decision not because you think you are the one, but we want somebody that we can get elected, that we can put in office, and we can do that with everybody running against everybody. You got anybody running against you?
Yeah, well, I don't even know to be honest with you, I don't even know her first name, but I do know that I think she's some 34-year-old at the Democratic Party. I know this might not be politically correct, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Democratic Party put in a race against an individual who's been committed for the last 40 years.
Hold on. Y'all, excuse me. Aren't you a Democrat?
Yes, sir.
And then you, I've been watching you. Did you bring home more stuff that was tangible, that was needed in your district than anybody else of your complexion in Dade County?
Yes, sir. Over $5 million this year. My best year has been this year.
You're five
Over $5 million.
Over $5 million you brought back. I saw on Facebook and other places where you were just passing out checks and folks are just jumping up and down and saying, thank you. You mean to tell the party that you belong to?
Yes.
Decided that they was going to run somebody against you?
Allegedly, you have, I guess, a couple of senators and this progressive Democratic group today, these young folks today, decided that I need to go because I don't succumb or adhere to the politics of those that are in power in the party. And so they are they don't care whether or not that person have ever served or not. They don't care whether or not they have a political portfolio. They just want someone to get in to challenge me, and they'll do whatever it takes to try to unseat me. But that's the price you pay for the space that you occupy. But that's what happened with our party today. And I'm not the only one. There's many of my colleagues.
I don't care about nobody. I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
So why would your party want to unseat you when you have demonstrated that it doesn't matter who's in power?
That's right.
You understand the process. You know what the game is. And without compromising values or principles, right, you're able to bring back home $5 million. Why would those handkerchief-head Negroes want to get rid of you?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about it. You know, you commit yourself, you give your money to all of these years. And I've been in this party for almost 40 years. And I've given my time, my energy, my resources. And but this is what we get rewarded. I'm talking about those of us who've been in this process, especially African American males. They don't have no problem in sticking folks in your race that are Democrats to make a point.
Now, who is this they you keep talking about? If you can't do it, just pass me.
Well, I put it this way: I know more than what they think I know.
Okay.
And so when you have people who run against you, never had no political experience, and running against a Democrat that has proven for the last almost 15 years in the process that we are making strides and we're bringing, should I say, we're returning home with the necessary dollars to help these 501c3s being able to provide their services to the community, i.e., I was just last week with the basketball great Alonzo Mourning. I just presented him with $1 million check that is going to help the Overtown Youth Center.
I saw that.
Yeah, and he gave me a personal tour and all. Certainly, I was with New Horizon. New Horizon deals with the mental capacity conditions of our people. They have a youth program that they need monies to help our youth in the evening. Just gave them a $300,000 check. I don't know if you remember the group called the Miami River Life. That's a group that young men and women, they have taken the wrong path in life, but now they have recovered and trying to restore, or should I say, get themselves back on the right track. And we were able to give them for the first time $1,135,000. Originally, when I submitted the grant, it was $635,000. Check the record, $635,000, and eventually we were able to now get it up to $1,135,000. That's just an example. Opelika, which a year ago and a half ago, I was able to get monies for $1.5 million for the new police station for Opelika. Now these are all the things I'm doing in this district.
Well, let's see. That don't make no sense to me. I understand why. So you don't want to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. Okay. Because I think that those who are watching us need to understand. I can remember when you first went to Tallahassee.
Yes, sir.
And you had on that Democratic suit. It was, I got to walk the line. If the Democrats say go left, I got to go left real fast. And I used to tell you that the issue for you is to deliver.
That's right.
And that you don't have to compromise your principles or your values in doing that. That in Tallahassee, it's about access.
Thank you.
That you can be as loud and as black as you want to be. But if nobody like you or understand or respect you, you ain't going to get nothing for colored people. And I told you.
That's right, you did.
I told you that as long as you go up there talking about Democrat this and Democrat that and Democrat this and Democrat that and Democrat this and Democrat that, you weren't going to get nothing at all.
That's right.
That you need to understand how to play the game without sacrificing any principles or values. And when you understood that, you then begin to understand that I got to get something no matter who's in power.
That's right.
How is it that you're able to, with this Republican administration, get all that money? You ain't supposed to be getting no money because you ain't in power. How you do that?
Well, like you made it very clear at the beginning. You said your first statement, having access. That is very, very key. Having access. You don't have to compromise your values, your principles. But see, here's what the problem with us. They expect for you to come to Tallahassee. They meaning the system, the Democratic system. They expect for you to just be mad with the people who control the substance. And that does not make sense. Why you don't get something for your constituency? And that's right. But see, people that don't look like me, or should I say representatives don't look like me, they get for their constituents and they can be in the same party with me.
But you can't do it.
But I can't do it.
Why is
But
that?
because but they keep us angry and fighting when they're working out deals behind the
Why do they
scenes.
do that?
And then when
Why do they do that? They do that because they want to fool black folks that the other folks are evil folks.
Right.
And they keep passing that myth along to us that
next generation.
because of them white folks being Republicans, they ain't gonna let you have nothing. But I don't hear no white Democrats suffering
Thank you.
because the Republicans are in power.
Thank you.
They figure out how to compromise and get what they need and still be in power.
That's right.
But when you figure out what the game is,
That's
the
right.
Negroes get upset, you know. And the thing is that they don't want you to be successful. They don't want you to be smarter than they are. That's what it is.
And I fight just as hard for black people in those committees and on the floor of the House as I did almost 15 years
But you're
ago.
getting more now.
Now get more because I understand
Understand what the game is.
and having access. And but see the key is, and I want the people to understand this. The key is the Democrats that don't look like me, they are able to carry home. We refer to it as the bacon. They are able to carry on the resources to their district and still maintain their party status. But when we step out and do it, guess what? We are cut off totally from the resources. I'll use that word, from the budget. And it's important. The only thing we are supposed to do as a body, according to the state constitution, is to go to Tallahassee and balance the budget. Politics, in a simple term, when you hit the lowest common denominator and when the dust settles and the rubber hits the road, politics is who gets what and how much. We have 67 counties. We have every year. This year we had a history making budget. We had a $1.1 billion budget, the largest we ever had in the history of the state of Florida. And it's a tragedy. It's a shame when we can't come back from Tallahassee and have money that we can give to our community so that our 501c3s, our district can flourish. We can have programs. I got right now, people call me every day in my district that I've presented proposals and was not able to get passed. They are struggling trying to keep their lights and keep their doors open. And so we need monies for those. But when we don't understand the process, we have people going around, oh, he's hanging around with the governor when the governor gives his press conferences. Don't you know when the governor gives his press conference, it is for those persons we have lobbied and helped to get those dollars for them. So we come to the press conference to show our gratitude to those 501c3. Oh, but you stand there with the governor. That is so ironic and so backwards in the thinking of our people. And we have to change that with the next generation. So with that, it's going to have to take another level of education to get our people to the point where they understand how this game is played.
Friends of Ron DeSantis, dear friend, it was great to see you. Thank you for your generosity and support. Please know your efforts will help pave our path to victory. Casey and I truly appreciate your friendship. All my best, Governor Ron DeSantis. That was to me.
Oh, you would, okay.
My goodness. The governor sent me a thank you note for my generosity. I'd be absolutely crazy to call myself a black leader and would not work to have access to the governor of the state. I'm going to get something out of every governor. I got more out of Jeb Bush because Jeb Bush was not only the governor, he was my friend. So he looked out for me extraordinarily. But every black elected official does not have the luxury of not relating to the person who is in office because they're not members of the same party. That's stupid. And because you choose not to be stupid, the party that you belong to wants to execute you. That's about as crazy as Juneteenth.
And I just had about 30 kids, should I say students, in my office. The Florida Children Initiative, originated here from Dade County, benefits 4 counties: Orlando, Jacksonville, and Tampa, and Miami. Miss Daniels, Latasha Daniels, who's here in Dade County, she runs that. She's the executive director. She's 10 Dr. Artie Jackson Church, Antioch of Miami Garden. We were able to get her $975,000. It's all on Facebook. $975,000, and not only that, others kids from around the state are benefiting from those dollars. They came in and they showed their appreciation. And now, but guess who had to approve that $975,000?
The Republican governor.
The chief executive officer. I don't have any. I didn't set that up, but I'm the one.
The Republican governor.
But I'm the state rep that's going to get the money to give to Latasha, so those black children can, in those 4 counties, can benefit. And they get mad because you go pick up the check from the person who's responsible to sign the check. That kind of thinking, we have to begin to talk and teach the next generation how this process works so they can have access one day when they become our future state legislators and senators and representatives.
I don't think it's ignorance.
Mm.
I think it's a lack of courage. I think you demonstrate that in spite of what you know is going to be reaction, you're going to do what's in the best interest of this community. That they can throw stones at you, they can call you names, they can say you've sold out, but at the end of the day, you do what you think you've got to do in order to deliver back to your constituency without compromising, without being hypocritical, being a man of your word, being true to your values and principles, and being God-fearing in the process. What we have is a bunch of Negroes who pretend to be concerned about Black folks. And all of their behavior dictates that they're only concerned about themselves. And we keep sending them back. And they keep pretending that they represent us. And when you and I step outside of what is the expected behavior, then they try to crucify us. Oh, he done sold out. Oh, he done gone Republican. I don't care what party they belong to. If I can deliver for Liberty City without compromising my values and principles, I'm going to do that. I don't care what these hated Uncle Tom Negroes think about our behavior. They can never question our commitment, like they can never question your commitment. I looked at the Dade delegation today. You're on 7 committees. You're on more committees than any colored person from South Florida. Why that?
In 1992, and we were in control. The party was a Democratic Party.
You weren't on those 7 committees.
Matter of fact, I was maybe 3 or 4 committees.
You're on 7. You're on the more committees than anybody of color from South Florida. Why that?
You know what? Because I understand how this process works, and I always wanted, because they kept me off the Appropriations Committee. That's the committee.
Well, you're on the Appropriations Committee now.
I'm on it now.
You're on the Appropriations Committee now.
And you know what? It was one of the most.
What is the Appropriations Committee? Just for those folks who might be Democrats who don't know what it is. What's the Appropriations Committee?
That is the committee.
That is the committee, isn't it?
That determines the governor's budget. He sends his budget to us. We determine. Yes, our committee. We determine the state agencies. They send their budgets to us. We sit at the table and determine how much money they're going to.
You can cross through it. You can say
yes,
y'all can get $9 as opposed to 13 that you want.
Oh,
You're on that committee.
Yes, sir. You know
and
what?
the Negroes trying to get you unelected.
And I'm more valuable now.
Say that again. Now, you're on the Appropriations Committee.
Yes, sir.
Which you and I know is the committee. Because the governor submits his budget.
Yes, sir.
But the final say-so is like the Supreme Court.
Cool. Yes, sir.
You say, oh, no, it's going to be $9 for the Attorney General's office. It's going to be $8 for the Commission of Education.
Yes, sir.
Y'all make that decision.
We make that decision.
Ain't nothing the government can do about it because y'all speak for the people.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And you mean to tell me that these handkerchief-head Negroes who look like you are trying to get you unelected
Yeah.
because
Yes,
you
sir.
vote with some Republicans?
Yeah.
I wish I had all of their names. I'm going to post them. If there's a colored person that says he or she represents you from South Florida and they're on the list of trying to destroy my good friend, Representative Bush, I'm going to talk about him every podcast. I hope that I can do everything within my power to run them back to wherever they came from. It makes no sense. Once again, we are our worst enemy. We keep talking about racism. We keep talking about bad white folks. We are our worst enemy at this point in our history. Why would anybody?
You know, the unfortunate thing, you know, everyone has a right to run. If you meet the prerequisites and you qualify. But, you know, the unfortunate thing, they go and get these young people who never had any experiences and just stick them in the race. They don't come up through the ranks. They don't learn how to wait and get in line and learn. But because you have these Democratic members who wants to make a point and who would do anything to make their point, they would go to that extreme to get someone who at least is not commissionary or at least have been out here and have done work over the years and have proven in this district or in the areas that they have been working. They'll get someone who never had no experience and run them and say that we need somebody who care about the community. Before these young folks were born, my oldest child is 42 and my baby is 40. Before they was even born, I was out here working in this community, helping people. You know, the unfortunate thing is that right now we have in this district so many of our seniors that I work in my office today who are having torch on their roofs and they're having leaks, roof leaks and all kinds of problems in their homes. And then now we have an issue where a lot of them rents are going up $400. I even went to one senior, she was 87 years old, her rent went up $1,000. You have seniors with the rent going up to 90, who's 92, going up to $300 and $400. We have so many issues and concerns that I need to be attending to. But because you don't succumb to these ideologies and philosophies that certain members of the party decide that you stepping out your space or your place as a rep, then we're going to show you how we punish you. And I just think that it does a disservice to black folks. I'm going to put it this way. I'm saying to the party, it's a disservice to African Americans who have committed themselves and have been committed to the party for 40 years. And this is the way and the behavior that we see go on now. Look like it's not an aberration. This is a definitive pattern of behavior of what's been going on for the last 10 and 15 years.
Yeah, but see, African Americans would tolerate that. Us black folks didn't tolerate that at all. See, y'all got caught up in thinking that you were treated the way that you were treated because of where you came from.
Yes, sir.
We operated that we were treated the way we were treated because of the color of our skin.
Yes, sir.
And because of that unified us. We were black folks. And we decided that we were going to do what we had to do in our best interest. I can remember, for example, when Gwen Cherry passed. And when Gwen Cherry passed, we decided as a community that we were going to elect somebody else. And a group of those folks said that they were going to run Jimmy Burke. And the late Gladys Taylor said, no, y'all ain't going to do that. We going to run Carrie Meade. And there was a fight between Gladys and a man. And she beat the man up because she said, ain't nothing that I will not do for Carrie me. In other words, we penalize folks who didn't go along with us.
That's right.
Y'all just tolerated. Y'all have an academic intellectual discussion about everybody has a right to do what they want to do. Hell no, they don't. We're talking about the future of our community. We're talking about selfish politics for self, us, not self me, self us. So it's really appalling that any black person would identify with a party that would destroy a black person who is doing things for black people and getting things done by not pimping on black people.
Yes, sir.
And that's why they're mad at you, because you're exposing them. You're demonstrating that if you go up there and learn how the game is played, play the game the way it is played, without sacrificing any principles or values, that you can deliver for your community. If you go up there selfishly, just wanting to be called a representative and be important and be at the press conference and get some Super Bowl tickets, then you can be all right. Those handkerchief-head Negroes and that party that you belong to ought to wake up and smell the tea. I got another letter here. It's from who?
President Joe Biden.
President Joe Biden. Now here is a Negro who is black as the day is long, literally and figuratively, got a letter from the governor and a letter from the president of the United States asking me for their support. How I do that? How I do that? How I do that?
Yes, sir.
How I do that? Because those of us who profess to be concerned about the present and the future of black folks can't be afraid to do what's in their best interest.
That's right.
I can't afford the luxury of taking time off because one party is in power and I don't belong to that party. It's my obligation and my responsibility to figure out how I can still access that party and get some things from my community, because they can't wait
That's right.
until somebody else is in power of the same party. So I've got to be smart enough, aggressive enough, and courageous enough
That's
to
right.
do what has to be done in order to deliver for my community. So if it's Democrat or Republican, I can't worry about what y'all think about me. I've got to do what my God tells me I'm supposed to do. I've got to do
That's right.
what I was elected to do. And if you like me, that's great. If you don't like me, that's your problem. So I commend you for getting the message, for stepping out and saying, it ain't how they feel about me. It's about how I feel about me.
And it's time now to start exposing this kind of behavior.
Hello, that's our biggest problem, is that we know that Al Sharpton is worse than any white person who's racist. We know that Mark Morrell is nothing more than, quote unquote, a social service pimp. And we allow them, in the name of us, to speak on our behalf. And when we are silent, and people know that they are crazy, but we are silent, then they lose respect for us. I'm going to tell you that I sit on the Foundation for Florida's Future. And you know that we grade every legislator every year on their student-centric legislation that they sponsor. You got an A from the foundation
Okay.
for the last 3 years. Now, then only one other colored person in the state got an A. We don't care what color you is. We don't care what party you belong to. If you demonstrate that you are about the business of improving the educational outcomes of children in the state of Florida, then you're on our team. And you got all these Democrats who say that they're concerned about black folks. And I don't hear nothing from them until it's time for re-election. And then they have the unmitigated gall to suggest to me that just because they Democrat, I ought to vote for them. My brother, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. So until we denounce them, until we say to them that it is not right. So any black person who belongs to the Democratic Party ought to be aware of the fact that the Democratic Party that you belong to is trying to punish this man because he refuses to act like he is crazy at this moment in life. He refuses to say, well, you know, it's partisan politics. And since they are in power, we can't do anything to give the appearance that we support them. So whatever we have to do to say that they should not be in power, we're going to do that, which means that we will also punish our own. It makes no sense for the Democratic Party to be dissatisfied with the most productive representative that we've had from South Florida in a long, long time. If other folks understand his value, why are we trying to kill him? And we're trying to kill him because of jealousy. We're trying to kill him because it ain't us. We're trying to kill him because he has proven that in spite of circumstances that he does not control, he can get stuff back to his district without compromising any principles, without giving in to any influences, without yielding any values. He has said loud and clear, and I understand what the game is. And now he's getting more out of a Republican administration than he ever got out of a Democratic administration. Is that not true?
Yes, sir. I can.
Now you're going to have to testify. Tell the truth.
And I didn't even know this is what we're going to be talking about.
No, I know you did. I know
I can't even think we're going to talk about something else.
No. We're going to talk about the fact that the Democratic Party is once again proving to me that it's nothing more than a con game working with black folks. For them to run somebody against you because you have exposed them and you won't get in line with them, that like you got to go.
And act like a boy.
That's right.
And so, and like I said, I didn't know we were going to talk about this. However,
if I told you, you wouldn't come talk about it.
But we have to begin to start talking about this. Absolutely. Because they're doing it not only to me, they're doing it all over the state.
They're doing it all over the country.
Oh, okay. Well, I know
they're doing it all over the country. Why would any black person in their right mind still say that they love Joe Biden? Help me understand that. Okay. Help me understand, why would any person who voted for Joe Biden, black, white, polka dot, green or yellow, say, oh, he's doing a wonderful job? Need a lobotomy, if that's your perception of what's going on. But we do that because we have been fooled into believing that if we do otherwise, we done sold out. So we value what other folks think about us than doing what we ought to do for us. So we worry about, oh man, when I walk in, they're going to say, yeah, but you all right, brother. Nigga didn't bring nothing home, but you was all right. That's right. Yeah, you our man. You cussed him out. I saw you cuss Brother DeSantis out. I ain't gonna do that at all, because at the end of the day, him who cusses don't get nothing. Now, if you need to be cussed out, for real, nobody can cuss better than me. But I ain't gonna cuss y'all in the name of just being black. That's right. I ain't gonna cuss y'all because, yeah, man, we stood up, we demonstrated, we fell down and didn't get nothing. My job as president of the Urban League is to govern myself in a way without sacrificing any principles, so that I get a note from the governor and a letter from the president of the United States. That's right. One is a Democrat, one is a Republican. And I write a check for both of them because I need to have access. I don't sacrifice any principles. I don't have to agree with everything that DeSantis does. I don't have to agree with everything that Joe Biden does. Right. But I got to be able to get into the room to try to convince them to do what I want them to do for Liberty City. And if I'm on the outside throwing bricks, calling them names, I don't care how smart I am. I don't care how sound my proposal is. I ain't gonna get into the room.
Yeah, and another thing, you don't get a chance to sit at the table with the governor on a frequent basis in Tallahassee. If you get in to see the governor, that's almost like a miracle.
You got that right. Say that again. Now.
You don't get a chance. Most people say,
I
"Oh,
thought you get a chance to see the governor anytime.
no,
Yes,
sir.
But you supposed to be at lunch with me today, but I understand your wife told you with the governor.
Yeah. Well, and so he was supposed to be there, but I can tell you this much. Those who think that we sit around and just have access to just sit every day or at the end of the week sitting with the governor, that does not work. It doesn't work that way.
Hold up now. The governor's in town today. You didn't come to my lunch and you sit with the governor. What other color representatives was with the governor?
So he couldn't he couldn't make it today. So he was supposed to be there.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
He was supposed to be
Okay, but he wasn't there.
Right.
So who else was there with you?
Well, we had the state attorney. We had
What other color representatives? I know everybody. What other color folks were
we
there?
have not anyone else.
Huh? Who?
Not anyone else.
Now the governor was in town today.
But he wasn't.
You supposed to be at lunch with me at the place over there called Jungle Island. You couldn't show up because your wife told me that the governor came in and you had to go to the meeting.
He was supposed to be here, but he didn't make it today.
But who else was there of color?
No one else.
No one. So the governor now is in town looking at human trafficking in my community, and you get invited to be part of a briefing about human trafficking, which is going to adversely, negatively impact us
40%.
As a community. 40% of those who are human trafficked look like us, young people, and you are there. And those crazy Negroes gonna throw rocks at you, not because you shouldn't have been there, but because they wasn't there. That has to be it.
Yeah. So, but like I said, be as it may, we have to start teaching our people a different way of looking.
It ain't ignorance. We got to start punishing people. Y'all keep talking about teaching like they don't know that if you behave a certain way, you get certain stuff done. We got to stop allowing folks in the name of selfishness manipulate us and keep us in our place. And so I ain't mad at no white folks. I'm mad at these handkerchief head Negroes who sit back silently and would allow them to punish you because you defied their expectations and you've gone outside of that which is the norm to deliver for your constituency. You have not compromised any principles. You've not violated any ethical rules. You've simply said that if I'm going to deliver back to my community, I've got to have access. And I will sacrifice what they think about me in the interest of delivering for my community. That if they want to think that way, then so be it. I know who I am. I know why I was sent here. And I'm going to do what I've got to do in order to deliver. And those black folks, when I see them, I'm so glad that I can talk about them and call them out and call them out. Because until we begin to send the message that we don't condone what they're doing to you, then the other folks say, I ain't gonna say nothing. If the other folks ain't saying nothing, I ain't gonna get in that mess. So I'm saying to all of you handkerchief head Negroes who are elected officials, you cannot tune me out. You don't pay for my podcast. I ain't running for nothing. If I was running for nothing, I wouldn't depend on you to vote for me. So I'm telling you, leave my representative alone. When I get your names, I'm gonna call you out left and right. And anybody who wants to punish him because he refuses to be a 21st century Uncle Tom ought to be lynched, literally and figuratively. And until we begin to call each other out, then we ought to stop talking about racism.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
We are our worst enemy. in 2022. Ain't no white folks lined up trying to figure out how they gonna stop you from bringing something back. Right. Is it?
No,
Is any white folks?
No, they trying to figure
They
out
trying to
support.
absolutely ain't no white folks lined up saying, you can't let them take nothing back to Miami God. Niggas gonna get too big. Can't do nothing. Ain't no white folks. Ain't no white folks who sit on this board with me that grades all of the elected officials say, well, we can't really vote for him because, he's not Hispanic or he's not white. They looked at your record and looked at what you had achieved and measured that against everybody else and say, he get an A, they get an F. And all them Negroes who's trying to stop you, they got Fs. They flunking where they ought to be passing. And they getting passing grades in Liberty City for being jackasses. And somebody ought to let them know that they ought not be jackasses because they're messing with a thoroughbred who runs the race for us and not for them, who's prepared to do what he has to do in order to deliver for us and not for them, who is courageous, committed, and determined that in spite of, if not because of, he's going to do what he has to do so that the children and the elderly back home benefit from the political process. It doesn't matter who's in power. It matters whether or not you have access to that power. That's right. And when you have access to that power and don't compromise who you are and what you stand for and what you believe in, then no one can stop you. So, my brother, we're going to win this election.
Yes, sir.
We're going to win this election.
Thank you.
And I want to name them all them Negroes. just on the way to the store, drop it on the ground and I'll find it. Because once again, I'm serious. Once again, we are behind where we are today.
Yes, sir.
Not because of anything called institutionalized racism. We're behind where we are today because we keep allowing Negroes to act like they white folks in dealing with us. We know that they are our worst enemy, but we keep pointing the finger. If we had everybody of color on your page, where would we be? Where would we be?
There's another issue that we really have to take note of. We have the status of black men and boys at that 9th hour. We were able to get $350,000 in the budget for that particular commission. So it's imperative that we understand, out of all of the Democrats and Republicans back and forth, at the end of the day, it requires us to have a certain amount of votes when we enter the committee process. Everything starts, Mr. Fair, from the committee process. And if I go in that committee and have not counted the number of votes that I need before I present my measure or my legislation, then I have not done my homework. And then I have to get the blessings of those that are in leadership before I present my proposal or my bill in that committee. Because if the chairman, if the speaker, the governor, or the president of the Senate, if they are not in tune with that or for that measure, guess where it's going to go? By the end of that process, it's going to go to the trash can, or it's going to go to the graveyard because you have not got the business. So you have to do.
So it ain't about race. It's about process. So when stuff gets rejected,
no, it's about votes.
It's about doing your homework, right? It's about making sure that the folks who vote the way you want them to vote. It's about making sure that they understand that you're prepared to reciprocate, that when they have an issue of importance to them,
right,
then they can count on you.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's politics.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong.
That's politics. It's a give and take. It's a trading process. All right. You support me on this, I support you on that. I don't care nothing about that. But if that's what you want me to do, you got me, because next week, this is what I need you to do for me. So it's a give and take process. And you have learned that process knows no color.
You try to tell me.
I try to tell you.
You told me that in the night.
I told you that tonight. You still, no, we got to go up there. No, we got to cuss them. We got to cuss them out. I said, homeboy, you're going to go up there and come back with the white mouth. You ain't going to get nothing. But you're going to be bad, though. You're going to be in the mind of times. Yeah, Bush cussed them out, boy. Came back with zero. Came back with zero. You ain't there to be popular with black folks. You're there to deliver for black folks.
When I get
and you can deliver without compromising who you are and what you stand for.
I wish that the people in the 109th district, I wish I could just film the people that I deal with every day in my office, the senior citizens who literally cries, tears coming out of their eyes, the kinds of issues that my district is faced with, and the constituents and my voters can understand that these people need access to resources. They need access to be able to survive and live. And so, if I don't have the number of votes, it's about voting. Democrats, we have like 40, this example, 42 votes as Democrats, and they have 70 something votes. They don't even need, Mr. Fair, our support in some instances to be able to get things through. So
y'all in the minority.
Right, we're in the minority. And so if I need 61 votes and I only got 42, and I've already got the 42 from the Democrats, I have to go get the other votes to be able to get the 61.
You got to go south
in order to get the bill passed.
That's correct.
It is nothing. It's nothing.
And you can't do that by cussing them out every day before you go there.
And there's nothing illegal, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's American politics.
So we have to teach this. We have to teach this generation that there's nothing wrong with that, but they make it feel.
No, hold up, Mr. Legislator. This ain't about ignorance. We have to punish them. See, y'all be nice. I hate them. They know what they doing. They know that all they want to do is to be anti. They're not prepared to make any unpopular decisions. They're going to behave the way they think they're going to be embraced by their behavior. So I really can't be with those Republicans, because if you're with a Republican, then you've sold out, no matter how great they are. But the mere fact that you running with Jeb Bush, you sold out. Well, I tell you what, Jeb Bush did more for black children than any other governor in the state of Florida. So you can question his party affiliation, but you can't question his character of commitment to this community. So they can question your relationship to the Democratic Party, but the proof is in the pudding. You brought back home the stuff. The problems that you just articulated that black Floridians are suffering in your district, they got a chance because you have access to the power. So you're going to get something, and you're going to get more because you got access than you would get just because you black. People trust you. You're a man of your word. You come unselfishly. I've never talked to anybody saying, well, he always trying to just get something for himself. He wants some Super Bowl tickets. He wants some foolishness. I ain't never heard that. So when I'm in these conversations with all of these powerful folks who don't know our relationship, I just be listening. And I've yet to hear any of my Republican friends or my Democratic friends who are white or Hispanic cast a word of dispersion about you. It's just these handkerchief head Negroes who are jealous. Because you have demonstrated that it ain't none of them, it's us. You have demonstrated that when you compromise, understand the system, work the system, a man of your word, that you can deliver things. Without having to compromise who you are. I've never heard anybody say that you was not a man of your word. I've never heard anybody challenge you that he's not committed. I never heard anybody say that you can't trust him. I've heard all folks say that he's all right. He is sincere. He cares. We got to support him because it makes sense. So I'm saying to all of my colored Democratic friends, don't y'all mess with Representative Bush. I'm going to come and get you. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to get your names. I'm going to throw rocks at your children. I'm going to make sure that the world knows that you ain't for us. You for yourself. That you're mad, not because of who he is, but because of what he has been able to do, because of who you are. And that you want to make sure that you maintain the status quo, that he has demonstrated that it ain't none of them, it's us. That as long as we play this partisan politics stuff and keep pointing fingers, no matter how bad things are, we keep saying it's them Republicans versus them Democrats, then them Democrats gonna keep on using us. And when a Democrat defies the expectations of being used by them, then they get upset and they want you to destroy him. It is a shame. We should not allow that to occur. And every Black Democrat ought to be up in arms saying, don't mess with Representative Bush. We ain't talking to the white Democrats. We're talking to the colored Democrats who are jealous because he has proven that you can be a man and deliver, that you don't have to be on your knees and beg, that you don't have to call people racist when they're not racist, that if you understand what you do it the way you're supposed to do, don't sacrifice any values or principles, that you can deliver. He's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can bring stuff home to the village without sacrificing any principles. I want to thank you, my brother, for being with me. You can come back anytime, chapter 1, chapter 2, and anytime you're going to come to talk about these handkerchief head Negroes, you can do that. God bless you.
Thank you. And
Please
I look forward to coming back. And
you just say when.
And after this election, I'm going to start pointing out some things that's happening in our party so that we can help correct this, because it is an indictment and it's a tragedy to allow this behavior to continue to go on.
Thank you very much. See you next week. Y'all be good. Don't forget, I love Joe Biden and I love DeSantis. I love anybody who's going to help me make life better for the children in Liberty City. God bless you.
About most of our lives, but we've made it still standing, 'cause they can't destroy what's inside. Black people keep going.